Hello, this is Mary, and I'm going to show you how to use Gale databases with your Google account. Now, what I have here is my Erie One BOCES School Library System account. You can get your account for your school through your library media specialist. Some other ways that you can get access to Gale. If you have high school students who have a driver's license or learner permit, they can access the Novell New York that way. Or students who have a public library card can also go to the public library website and access these resources. So the ones we'll look at today are for secondary, opposing viewpoints in context, and for upper elementary, we'll look at kids info bits. So first, I'm going to scroll in my list here to opposing viewpoints in context. Now, you may have noticed at the top of this screen that you also have an area where you can search. So you can search cross databases that you select, but today I'm going to go right to the ones that we're looking at. So we'll take a look at opposing viewpoints in context and look at the issue of immigration, which is in one of the inquiries. Now, I could search for immigration here, but they actually have, under law and politics, one of their popular categories, which is illegal immigrants. But before I go there, what I'm going to do is sign in with my Google account. So at the top of the page, you'll see where it says sign in with Google. Also, if you have a Microsoft account, you could sign in with that. But I'm going to click sign in with Google. And the first time you sign in, it might ask you to allow Gale to access your drive. And that is because what happens is any of the articles that you want to save with your notes and annotations, it creates a folder right within your Google Drive. Also, it gives you the option of Google Classroom as well. So at the top of the page where I signed in, there's also an option if I would like to share things with my Google Classroom. Right now I'm in a personal account, so I can't do that. If you are in one of your school accounts, then you would have the option as well to share articles with your students who are in one of your Google Classroom classes. So now that I'm signed in, I'm going to scroll down to the immigration category. And I'm going to choose an article to take a look at. So the point of opposing viewpoints in context is it brings together articles from different places on different perspectives for controversial issues. So if I scroll down, I can see some of the articles. And let me click on a couple of these. So it says these are from opposing viewpoints in context. If I click on this top one here, this is law-abiding illegal immigrants do not need to be deported. So it's looking at that side, taking that stance on the issue. Now, what's nice too about the Gale databases is that you can listen to it as well. So you can actually listen to it being read by a computer.
Obama could instantly and permanently legalize millions of illegal immigrants.
Okay, now this is obviously from before the current administration. But as you see, I can listen to the text that's here. Oops, close out of here. So some other options that I have. If I highlight, I just stop that. If I highlight some text on the page, why are you doing this to me? Please close reads. Okay. So if I highlight some text on the page, it's going to give me the option to either highlight text or add notes. So if I click highlight, I can choose my highlight color. Actually, I missed some here, so let me highlight that again. Just clicking and dragging over the text, and then click highlight. And also, I'm able to add notes, which then once we bring this out into our Google Drive as a Google Doc, the notes will be at the bottom of the page. So if I click here, I can add in my notes. So I can say, how has this changed with the current presidential administration? And so now from here, I'm going to click save, and it saves that note in. When I click on my highlight, I can go back to notes, and I can see the notes that I had put there for myself. And so you can do this with any part of the article. It gives you some books for further reading and some periodicals for further reading as well, so they could do further research. Also, what's nice is it includes the citation at the bottom already. And this also will be transferred over into the Google version of this document. Now, if I scroll back up, you can see on the right-hand side that I have some citation tools. So I can choose then my citation protocol. So if I wanted MLA 8th edition or 7th, I can choose that. If I wanted APA or Chicago, I could choose that as well, depending on the citation format that I needed. And I'm going to select that one. So the great benefit of signing into Gale with your Google account is that you can take what you've done here and you can transfer it over to your Google Drive as a Google Doc. So in here, under Tools, I'm going to click Download and keep this top option, which is Save to Google Drive. So once I have that selected, I'll click Download. And it will say documents have been sent to Google Drive and will appear shortly. And I'll click OK. And so now I'm going to go to my Google Drive. And you'll see that it created a folder for opposing viewpoints in context. So I have that folder. Also, you'll see there's one here for kids info bits. Usually they'll show up as an orange folder. And so some other ones that I have in here are General One file, the ebooks that are part of Gale, and also New York State newspapers. So you can use this really with any of those Gale databases and also any of the Gale ebooks that you may have access to. So now I'm going to click on my opposing viewpoints in context folder and open up my saved version of that document. So now not only do you have a copy of the article that you can go back and cite for your research, annotate further, but it did keep those highlights that you put in the document. And then also, if I scroll to the very bottom of this, you'll see that it includes my citation and also any notes that I added are here as well. And of course, now it's just a regular Google document. If I needed to share that with someone else, I could click on the share button in the upper right corner. Let's say it was a project students were working on together and they wanted to share. Or if you wanted to collect this note-taking that students did, they could share this document then with you through Google Drive. Now, the other one that I mentioned, the other database that I mentioned, is Kids Info Bits, and this is more of a resource for upper elementary students. So I'm going to scroll to the bottom here in our special collections and click on Kids Info Bits. And in my list, it shows up at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to do some research on Puerto Rico for the inquiry about whether Puerto Rico should become a state or not. So some ways that I could do that. I could search any of the categories. You see if I scroll down, I could search geography or social studies. But in this case, what I'm going to do is, in my search box at the top, just type in Puerto Rico, and it suggests that for me, and click enter. And then it brings up some resources that students can go to. Now, you'll notice the ones that are in green here, that would be more of a basic level. So students in the middle elementary grades who are on the lower end of readability, that would be more appropriate for them in most cases. And the ones that are in yellow would be more for those who have a higher reading level in that range. So if I click on this one from Blackbirch Kids Visual Reference, again, you'll see that I can listen to it. So even if students had some difficulty reading, if they needed something maybe a little bit more basic, they do have some listening features as well in here. Also, you'll notice for any of the articles, under the tools on the right-hand side, there are some translations. So if you had students who were English language learners, they may feel more comfortable acquiring some knowledge through resource initially in their native language. So you can see that this gives some information about Puerto Rico, shows where it is, and gives some more basic information about Puerto Rico. And so again, I could click on download under my tools and choose to save that to Google Drive by clicking download. And again, it says documents have been sent to your Google Drive and will appear there shortly. I'm just going to go back in my breadcrumbs here and scroll down, and you'll see that there are some magazine articles as well about Puerto Rico, and also some news articles. So for students to gather some information into the inquiry about Puerto Rico. So now when I go back to my Google Drive and I click on Kids Info Bits, what's nice too is if there are some illustrations or if there are some maps, let's say, then students will have those as well. Just have to wait for that to catch up. And so it also brings in any of the illustrations or maps that were part of that article. It might just come in slightly differently, but all of the information is here. If I had highlighted anything or added notes, the same way I did with the opposing viewpoints, they would show here as well. So that is how you would use your Google account with Gale databases. If you haven't used them, I suggest you get in touch with your library media specialist for access. And you could also go, again, through public library resources as well. And I will link as many of those resources as I can through the module. Thanks. And if you have any questions, as always, feel free to ask. Thanks.